juggled US dollars 2 trillion worth of investments and wrestled with the knottiest economic problems. But it has now emerged. His greatest dilemma arose from asking his daughter to brush her teeth. When the Oxbridge stands for Oxford and Cambridge, when the Oxbridge educated economist stepped down last year as the chief executive of the PIMCO investment fund, one of the largest on the planet, rumor was rife that he had fallen out with its founder, Bill Gross, also very well known. I had never heard of El Arian earlier, but I had heard of Bill Gross. But El Arian on Wednesday revealed one main reason for leaving his post was a conversation with his then 10-year-old daughter about brushing her teeth, which led to her writing him a note listing the 22 important events in her life he had missed due to work. Next para. The document presented to the financier including missing the child's first day at school, her first football match, and a Halloween parade. Third para. El Irian, whose earnings, and listen to this figure, El Irian, whose earnings at PIMCO reportedly reached as much as US dollars 100 million a year, which in Indian currency is 600 crores. He was getting a salary of 600 crores. Okay, 600, not 60 crores. Said the incident showed him instantly, that he had allowed his relationship with his daughter to suffer at the expense of his globe-trotting job. In an interview with Worth magazine, he said, within quotes, "About a year ago, I asked my daughter several times to do something, brush her teeth. I think it was with no success. I reminded her that it was not so long ago that she would have immediately responded." Next para, the quote continues. "She asked me to wait a minute and then went to her room and came back with a piece of paper. It was a list she had compiled of her important events and activities that I had missed due to work commitments. Talk about a wake-up call." Unquote. Next para. He continued, within quotes, "I felt awful and got defensive. I had a good excuse for each missed event. Travel, important meetings, an urgent phone call, sudden to-dos. But it dawned on me that I was missing an infinitely more important point." Quote continues, "As much as I could rationalize it, my work-life balance had gotten way out of whack, and the imbalance was hurting my relationship with my daughter. I was not making nearly enough time for her," he added, unquote. And last para. The 56-year-old investment guru last year swapped his role at PIMCO's California headquarters for a portfolio of part-time jobs, including a role as chief advisor to the fund's German parent, Alliance. This has come in the Independent. I think the 14 things I mentioned about Gandhiji, everything is covered here. There's another chapter in this book which you must have a look at. That is the soft track and hard track, which I mentioned, page 18 and 136. This is an example of soft track where a person gives up a 600 crores worth of job because his daughter would not respond to him and he was telling her, "Bhai, brush your teeth." And this is what I said when we have no time for our parents. Any other questions in the remaining time? Use the Socrates method of self-inquiry and start getting your own answers. Twins. What is the meaning of twins? साथ साथ जो चलते हैं, together. I said except God and death, everything in life changes. You can put any other word along with change, it will be a twin only. You can put sorrow, you can put happiness. And tell me, do you know of any human being in this world who can even give a single answer to a single problem? What to talk of more than one problems? जहां में ऐसा कौन है कि जिसको गम मिला नहीं? Do you know of anybody in this world who has not faced moments of pain and sorrow? There is one sentence I have, if you wish you can note down. It is called, I call it 2M 1G. 2M, M for master, MAS, 2M 1G. And it's in Hindustani, so for those of my friends who are not familiar with Hindustani, I'll translate it into English also. The first M is, किसी को मुकम्मल जहां नहीं मिलता. This is the first M, मुकम्मल, M for मुकम्मल. Nobody gets the entire cosmos. Jahan is more than the world, cosmos. Anybody in this room who thinks he or she has got the mukammal jahan, I would like to discuss with that person. I'll point out 20 things that he or she thinks she has but will not be having. The second M stands for, कोई भी मुकम्मल इंसान नहीं होता. No human being is perfect or complete in all respects. In fact, if we look at it statistically, if we can find 10 good things in a human being, I would say he is near mukammal. But I can easily point out 90 bad things in any human being. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your thoughts, and I'm sure each one of you present here will definitely go back and give a thinking to the WHS sir has raised and the Socrates method. Sir, just want to share one incident with you. Our students always have this thing that why Sai Kumar sir asks us so much of question. In fact, he never gives us an answer. So probably not only the students, but I would say all faculties present here would also accept that he is the Socrates of IP, because he does raise questions, and those questions are us to answer. And I think now students will never question this again, right? So, if you permit us, there are some students who have prepared some understanding of the book. If you just give 5 minutes to them. So, may I request if any student would like to speak here.
A very good morning to one and all. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Why need I? I would like to talk about the section 2 which has been written in the book. By quoting this by George Bernard Shaw, it is mentioned in the book itself. The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all the progress depends with the unreasonable man. With a thought-provoking start, the author mentions of creative change. It being no longer convenient, but has become a necessity in the new age of blue oceans. That is, to create uncontested market space and making the competition irrelevant. Creativity and change go hand in hand. In the present era of vast diverse cultures, managing change is a huge challenge. And author says, the key to success in managing creative change lies in the existence of dynamic systems and their interpretation. Author identifies actors for managing change, namely Columbus, artist, judge, Sufi, and warrior. That is what even Sir mentioned for a role play in the class. Next chapter talks about generating creative ideas. There are two aspects in managing creative gaps. Firstly, to access, locate, and fill the creative gaps. Secondly, to create creative gaps on purpose by raising the bar of quality norms and innovation expectations. The most important being articulation of the problem, which involves Ishikawa diagram, which we have been studying in POM or Production and Operations Management, the cause and effect diagram, and YY analysis. Creative idea generation. Some techniques being how techniques, brainstorming, trigger sessions, wild idea sessions, SWOT analysis, suggestion schemes, quality circles. One of the chapter talks about ingelititis, which is completely new to us, change or perish. Author talks of how company mismanaged the change and suffered. There's an example of HMT given in the book itself. Ingelititis is a deadly organizational disease. So deadly, it's also called kiss to death. Discovered by Northcote C. Parkinson. The equation which is given by him is I3 plus J5. I is incompetence. J is jealousy. Jealousy is the strongest negative force. One needs to identify the disease at the right stage and prevent it with the right strategy. The author talks of two tracks, hard track and soft track, mentioned by Sir in his speech also. Hard track talks of the physical and technological aspect, and soft track talks about the emotional and cultural aspects. Managing change is managing transition, both hard track and soft track. The author talks of Red Queen effect to describe the evolutionary necessity to evolve faster than one's competitors. Change follows a pattern: perceive, conceive, sell it, own it, commit for it, complete it. We need to listen to our customers more than ever. The times are changing and we will need to reinvent ourselves constantly to be relevant to our core constituents. This is even more important as customers of the future are going to be younger and more unburdened than ever. Thank you.
One more, and there's one girl who wants to read a poem. So, a small poem. May I request you to come down first and maybe we can have.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to discuss about a poem which is very famous, and it is first published in 1934, and it is very popular till today. It is written by the Peter Daly, Wimbrow, and The Man in the Glass. So when you get what you want to in your struggle for yourself, and the world makes you kind for the day, just go to the mirror and look at yourself and see what the man has to say. For it's not your father or mother or a wife whose judgment upon you must pass it, okay? The fellow whose verdict counts most in your life is the one staring back from your glass. He is the fellow to please, never mind all the rest. For he is with you clear the end, and you have been past the most difficult, dangerous test that is ever. If the man in the glass is your friend, then you may fool the whole world down the pathway of the years and get pats on your back as you pass, but the final reward will be hatred on tears. So if you have cheated the man in the glass. Thank you.
उम्र भर गालिब भूल मैं ये करता रहा, धूल चेहरे पे थी आईना साफ करता रहा. You see, this is the genius of Indians, which unfortunately we have compromised, and we are where we are in the world. Just two lines, and that gentleman in 1930s wrote maybe 15-16 lines with our young friend read. And whatever that said, the person who pleases you should be your reflection in the mirror, not your father, your mother or your wife. Am I right, ma'am? You read that out. This will also show you that I have a retentive memory, which I told you in the beginning. But what does Ghalib say? Umr bhar Ghalib, all my life Ghalib. Bhool main ye karta raha. I kept making this mistake. Dhool chehre pe thi. It was my fault all along. The dust was on my face. Aina saaf karta raha. but I kept cleaning them away, which means blaming others, never accepting the blame. So don't you think Ghalib is more powerful than this gentleman?
A very good afternoon to one and all. I'd like to talk on some of the interesting details of the strategies and techniques adopted by Singareni Collieries Company Limited. There are many extremely challenging demands, of which a few are dealing with trade unions who were hostile with management. The company accumulated losses in excess of 570 crores, danger of Naxalites threatening workforce. So, unique techniques were adopted, like eating elephant, wherein massive problems are broken down into smaller problems and are put in a logical sequence so that they can be tackled one by one. And concept of script writing was also introduced, in which senior level executives were asked to draw out strategic plans suggesting how to turn around the company. 3 main strategies were evolved, and the focus was on communication to reach people and their families. And the second one was consolidation of environmentally sustainable coal mining practices. And the third one was restructuring. All the senior level executives are encouraged to shed their inhibitions and involve middle and junior level managers in decision making process. Humane touch is the most vital ingredient for promoting a sense of wholesomeness. The concept of one family, one vision, one mission was promoted, and decisions to coin the term Singarenian was taken in order to inculcate a sense of belongingness to the company. A newsletter called Singareni Samacharam was brought out, and the letters from CMD to all workers and telefilms produced in the company were widely exhibited. A song was also composed and recorded, and it was called Singareni Geetam. It was the company anthem. People from all castes, communities and religions worked together, and hence there was a need that they thought and acted as member of a single family. Path-breaking principles like one for all for one were also implemented. The top management was transparent and fair in dealing with the grievances of workers, especially the mine level grievance resolution meetings called Mine Sadasu was activated. New methods of communication included writing letters addressed separately to executives and workers in periodic intervals. A bi-monthly news roundup of events in the company was launched, and that was called Singareni Tarangalu. Bi-monthly newsletter was also launched, and it was called Singareni Samachar.